That photo was never supposed to reach her. But one careless moment exposed a secret the entire family had been hiding for months. In the picture, everyone was smiling around a rehearsal dinner table before the wedding. Her mother was there. Her younger brother was there. Even friends from their high school days were there. The only person missing was Hannah Brooks, the woman who had spent months helping them prepare for everything. At 36 years old, Hannah lived in Seattle and ran a successful financial consulting firm. To her clients, she was confident, capable, and decisive. But within her family, Hannah had always been seen as the older sister whose job was to carry everyone else's burdens. When her younger brother Mason announced his engagement, the entire family immediately turned to Hannah. They said the wedding expenses were becoming impossible to manage. They said they only needed her help for a short time. And as she always did, Hannah agreed. She helped cover deposits for the venue. She paid unexpected expenses as they appeared. She even used her personal reputation and financial standing to guarantee several important contracts. Every phone call ended with warm words of gratitude. But as time passed, something began to change. Family conversations became shorter. Important decisions were made without her involvement. Whenever Hannah asked for more information, the answers were vague and evasive. A feeling she could not quite explain began growing inside her. Still, because they were family, she chose to ignore it. Until the day that photo appeared. The day Hannah began to realize that the woman everyone saw as nothing more than someone who worked hard and sent money was actually holding a level of power that no one in the family seemed to notice. And the truth behind this wedding was far bigger than anything she had imagined. 2 days before the wedding, Hannah boarded a long flight from Seattle to North Carolina. She did not tell anyone exactly when she would arrive because she wanted to surprise her family. Instead, the surprise was waiting for her. No one came to the airport. No message asking if she had landed safely. No phone call. Hannah pulled her own suitcase through the parking lot, rented a car, and drove herself to the hotel as a growing sense of confusion settled over her. That afternoon, she decided to stop by the wedding venue to see her brother. What she found there left her stunned. Event staff were rushing to finish the final preparations. The moment a manager heard the name Hannah Brooks, he immediately smiled. He assumed she was the guest of honor. According to the records, nearly every major contract carried her signature. Then, during what seemed like an innocent conversation, the truth began to surface. The manager casually mentioned the seating chart. He said it was unfortunate that she would not be attending because the family had explained that she was too busy with work and had chosen not to come. Hannah froze. It felt as if her heart had dropped. No one had ever asked her. And she was standing right there. A few hours later, she found the answer she desperately wished was not true. In a message that had been sent to her by mistake, her mother admitted that she did not want Hannah at the wedding. She feared that Hannah's success would draw more attention to the older sister than to the groom. Suddenly, every piece of the puzzle fell into place. The distance, the secret meetings, the hidden guest list. It had all been planned from the beginning. That night, Hannah sat alone in her hotel room. Spread across the table in front of her was a thick stack of documents containing contracts worth tens of thousands of dollars. For the first time in years, she was not hurt by the money she had spent. She was hurt by the realization that she had never truly been seen as a real member of the family. And the next morning, she made a decision that would change everything. The next morning, Hannah's phone would not stop ringing. But this time, she was no longer rushing to answer. One call after another appeared on the screen. Her mother, her brother, then relatives who rarely contacted her under normal circumstances. The wedding still went ahead as planned. But only a few hours after the ceremony ended, the first invoices began arriving. And for the first time, the family realized that the person they had deliberately pushed aside was the same person carrying nearly all of the financial responsibility behind the event. There were no shouting matches, no dramatic acts of revenge. Hannah did only one thing. She contacted each vendor and requested that the payment information be updated to reflect the actual organizers of the wedding. Everything was legal, everything was transparent. Yet the consequences arrived faster than anyone expected. For weeks afterward, the criticism never stopped. Some people said Hannah was being cold and unforgiving. Others insisted she should sacrifice a little more for the sake of family. What hurt her most was that no one asked how she felt after being excluded from her own brother's wedding. Then, one evening several months later, Mason called her. For the first time, he was not asking for help. He was not assigning blame. He was not making excuses. Instead, he admitted that he had known about everything from the beginning but chose to remain silent because he was afraid of disappointing their mother. On the other end of the line, Hannah said nothing for several seconds, because she finally understood the difference between an excuse and accountability. Time could not erase the pain, but the truth could create a path toward healing. Today, Hannah no longer remembers that wedding as the day she was betrayed. She remembers it as the day she woke up. The day she learned that love is not about endlessly giving in order to be accepted. Sometimes, the greatest act of self-worth is standing up, walking away from people who no longer value you, and building a life where respect is not something that must be purchased with sacrifice.